my list of things to do for years. And I finally was just like, you know what? We just got to do it. I like bought all of this equipment. I'm super fancy over here, right? I'm joking. But I have a green screen. I have a total, this is the whole setup. And I bought this during COVID. Like all this stuff has been sitting in a box. And you just get busy. Life gets in the way, right? So all of a sudden I have a second baby, still working like crazy through COVID, you know how it is. And then my team and I have really been trying to push the conversation of more exposure, education, just everything that, our business is built on. And I said, okay, enough is enough. Let's just go. And so I told Tegan, I said, we've got to just get like an hour, 2 hours every week scheduled. There's so many people that I know in the industry that are kick-ass mompreneurs, and we just need to get them on here and talk, because why not, right? One, and two, it's amazing for our clients to be able to see who else is out there when they're thinking about moving to other places.
Oh, that's a great idea, Olivia. I never even thought of that.
Right? Because it's like so many people come to us and they're like, we're moving to this location. And I'm like, okay, great. I'll interview a couple of agents for you. But they don't know who it is. Like if I'm able to do that, and then I'm like, hey, go to episode 5 and you'll be able to see the agent that I would to go ahead and pass you along. Does she seem like a good fit, or does he seem like a good fit? It's so much better and more personal, right?
It's true. I never even thought of that. How clever is that?
So I want to know more about you. I mean, we obviously had our phone call, and, I didn't obviously dive into who is Melina and who were you before real estate, and, tell me a little bit about yourself and tell me about your background.
So I graduated. I'm from California.
You
believe
are?
it or not. I am.
Oh my gosh, what part?
So I was born in Texas, and we lived in Texas for 10 years. And then we moved to California, to Orange County. So Southern California.
Okay.
My brother and my mom, and both of my brothers and my mom are still there. My father has since passed away. But I got my degree in music, in opera. Performance. And the funny story is, I went right after, the day I graduated, I interviewed with a mortgage company and ended up working for them right away. So I was like the gopher to the underwriter and the processors, and learned so much right then, because I was actually part of, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I was part of Citigroup lending, whatever they were called.
Gosh.
And at the time it was like Ditech and some of these big names. And I remember I was cold calling back then. So I was the one who was cold calling for business based on the 50,000 flyers they were sending to get 125%. When you refied, you got 125%. That is why everyone was so upside down. So you could have a house that was worth 500 and make maybe like 650, and you would take that and probably spend it. And so that's what we were doing. Well, fast forward 4 months later, that company was one of the first companies to get raided by the FBI and shut down for their business practices. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just a cold caller. I run little things. So from there, I went and worked for Shea Properties, because I could rent apartments, sell houses for new construction. And silly me, not knowing what the heck I was doing, I was like, okay, I could do that. And then go sing opera at night, because that's what I was doing. I was singing with Opera Pacific. So that's literally, I would work a 9 to 5 in sales of houses and apartments and leasing of apartments. And then I would run to the opera house in Irvine and sing till 10:30. And I would do this every single day.
Amazing.
So that's how I started in real estate, to pay for voice lessons.
That is amazing. What a wonderful story. So from there, how did you get into actually like going into real estate, into sales?
Oh, that's a great question. So I was doing that. I was their top producer for 5 years. And then I got offered a job in opera and I toured with Portland Opera. And then from there, I went to Italy for like 3 years in New York City, taught music at a couple of schools, and then moved to Texas and I started working in sales. My uncle owns a distribution company for hair care. So full circle, everything always comes back to sales, right? So I was thriving in that business. I lived in Houston by myself. I made the move alone. I was given an opportunity and was doing really well for myself for 10 years. I met my husband. We had babies. He's transferred to New Jersey. Me being the typical person who was not thinking with my entrepreneurial mind, but with my employee mind, was like, well, I've got to stay in hair care sales. And we had bought 4, 5, 6 houses, sold 4, 5, 6 houses, because when you're a military spouse, you kind of move a lot. And long story short, I came to New Jersey, did 1 year of hair care, and was like, you know what? I can go back to real estate. I know what I'm doing. So I took my test in 2 weeks. I took my classes again, retested, because in New Jersey things are very different. Because in California, we really use the title company and the agent. Well, here in New Jersey, an attorney is involved in the mix, and it makes things all that much more interesting. So,
I love the choice of words.
It was crazy. And it's a very litigious state also, extremely litigious. This tri-state area it's very litigious for all sorts of reasons. So I really had to understand the real estate law freshly, with a fresh set of eyes. So that's really how I ended up coming back to real estate. It was that voice inside of me again was like, why aren't you working for yourself? Why aren't you working for yourself? And I have 2 little kids. My son right now is 11 and my daughter is 8. My husband's in the military. He's getting ready to be deployed. He's in the Coast Guard. He's being deployed to Charleston for 3 years, and we're staying.
Wow.
We're staying here in New Jersey. So I don't know. I love real estate. I love helping people. And 90% of our clients are amazing. And that 10% that are just horrendous, you pray that you make better choices next time on who you do business with, right? So that's the story.
Yes, which is always, the big question of, is real estate really everything you expected it to be over the years, right?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. I would say even in the last 2 years, or in the last year, the mental state, I think I did a little video on this just the other day. I may have even posted it on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok like 2 days ago, but it was about the mind, the mental state of people today in either as buyers or sellers. So I was speaking with the broker the other day, and he said, in 10 days, 3 sellers decided they were not going to pay their realtor commissions. And we're trying to get out of paying realtor commissions. And you get a lot of also buyers really blaming, not taking full responsibility for their decisions, and really wanting to diffuse that blame on a realtor. Not to say that that's not always the case, but I think there comes a point where internet and reading and everything is so available, we have to go, okay, what do I need to know about the process? And if you don't know, you've got to communicate you don't know. So that's that. I love the business, but it's definitely been a mental shift the last couple of years. And it's also a different buying pool, right? And a different selling pool. The people who are selling typically have been living in their homes 25 years. They haven't done this game in years. Is that the same case for you? Like 25 years or 20 years in a house, typically.
Yeah.
Or they're upsizing.
Yes.
Remember. And then you
exactly.
You know what I mean? And then you have the buyers who are they're babies. They're so young. They're millennials. They're Generation X generation. I even see that like that Generation Z coming up, and I'm in shock. Like they are so financially ready to invest, but it's like they were talking to mom and dad said, oh, our first house was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, and it cost us $300,000. That was 25 years ago. It's not going to be the same today. So that's what I'm noticing.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think one of the things that I've seen over and over and over again is the typical kids are living in the Bay Area because of the heavy tech jobs, and parents are living elsewhere out of state. And kids are calling parents. And when I say kids, I'm talking about the, mid-20s to mid-30s, right? And so they're calling mom and dad back in, say, Ohio, saying, hey, mom and dad, this crazy woman wants us to release all of our contingencies for our offer. Like, yes. What in the world, right? And then it's the midnight phone call of, hey, do you have a few minutes to talk? Because we're Googling contingencies. And I'm like, did you hear anything I said in the consultation that we sat down for an hour and talked about? So I think that there's too many resources almost, at the fingertips for the internet. And I think that some people really need to take a moment to consider the fact that all markets are different. Even 25 miles east, north, south of where I am are different than where I am right here. And I tell agents that all the time. One of my biggest pet peeves around this area is I'm a Bay Area expert. Well, how the hell are you going to be a Bay Area expert? Because every city and every county in the Bay Area is different. There are so many there's so many different things that you need to teach buyers and sellers as they're going through this process. So it's the one thing I'm very stringent about when I'm teaching new agents on my team is, hey, we're not experts in every area, and that's okay. Become an expert in the area that we are going to do business in and really start to thrive as that expert, such as yourself, right? And I want to hear a little bit more about where you're an expert at, because I hear New Jersey, but tell me exactly where in New Jersey. Tell me how long you've been doing real estate in that area and kind of what sets you apart from, I don't like to say the word competitors, but you know what, at the end of the day, our colleagues are our competitors in real estate. So what sets you apart, and talk to me a little bit more about the area you're in.
So I live in Monmouth County. But I really do real estate in Monmouth County, Ocean County, and Middlesex County easily. But very, very easily maneuver those three. And even a little bit in Essex and Union County, because you have to think about it like this. I was actually listening to another podcast where an agent was saying, listen, our clients live everywhere. And so when mom passes away, they may say, we want you to sell our house in Union County. Well, I just know how to run comps. I know how to maneuver the market, and I understand strategies. And when I look at data on the MLS, I can very easily, I don't know, maybe that's the gift. I very easily see where a house should be priced. And I can also look through that data and see, like really stand on the shoulders of the giants before me. So if you see 5 houses in the same neighborhood, have they all listed for, I don't know, $599 and all sold for $675, it would be wise of me to follow that trend.
Yes.
And to recognize if you see certain language in MLS's north-facing house, yard, you just know what's important to the buyer of that neighborhood. And I make it a priority to learn about the schools, about the neighborhood. Our clients are our greatest resource. They know where they grew up. They know where mom's house was. So those are my predominant areas. And I what I did was when I came back into real estate, I had 2 young children. I have 2 young children. And I made a very specific decision to start with a team. So I quickly partnered with a broker out of Staten Island. She has been selling real estate for over 25 years, and she owns the 2. She's the operating. She is the operating principal of the 2 offices, the only 2 Keller Williams offices in Staten Island, and it immediately gave me access to those buyers, to that MLS, and I was able to leverage the knowledge of New Jersey on my partners. So anything I didn't understand, I was able to quickly navigate. So, for example, in California, we talk about earthquakes, landslides, rain, neighborhood, guns. You talk about that stuff. Well, here in New Jersey, you're on the East Coast. The homes are a lot older. So you're now really having conversations about oil tanks, what's underground, flooding, post-Sandy, all of that. So I think that's really where my talent and my specialty is. And I try really hard when I speak to a seller, because I'm I'm a 50-50 agent. I try to sell 52 houses a year, and I try to help my clients buy 52 houses a year.
That's awesome.
And what makes me a really strong buyer's agent is because I am living in the seller's shoes every single week of the year. And what makes me a strong seller's agent is I hear and listen to the buyers every day, right?
Yeah.
So now you can anticipate what the picture will look like. And you can, again, 9 times out of 10, you really can guide your sellers to the right buyers. And you can guide your buyers on properly submitting and preparing an offer to today's market. So when I hear someone panic and say to me, contingencies, right? I don't want to waive appraisal. I don't want to waive inspection. I dissect it for them. I said, what is, so questions always lead you to answers, right? You say to them, well, what does that mean when I say to you, waive inspection contingency, except for structural, environmental, and mechanical? What does that mean to you? And usually they're like, I don't know. What does it mean to you? Let me explain.
Yes.
And sometimes I'll hear clients who've been reading on Google a lot. So you'll see you could tell a young buyer especially has probably listened to 5,000 shows on YouTube. And they come to you really like amped up. They're so amped up, and they say, we don't want to be in those bidding wars. And I go, okay. And we know that the market has changed. And I said, okay. I go, let me ask you. This is actually another referral. They're first-time home buyers. I said, let me ask you, what does that mean the market has changed? Explain to me what you think that means. And they say, oh, well, it means there are no more bidding wars, that you can get the house for under asking price because interest rates are up. And the world is falling apart, there's a recession, and everyone is giving up, right? Something along those lines. And I said to the last buyer, I go, listen, my last 2 listings were in your price point and in the areas you're looking at. And I opened up my multiple offer sheet, and I showed them all the multiple offers on the Zoom. I shared my screen. I said, let's talk about 123 Main Street in Piscataway. They received 9 offers. It wasn't 90, but it was 9. And any offer more than 1 puts you 50-50. You may lose the offer. I said, and this is how the offers were written. And I showed them straight through what contingency meant, how it, blah, 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 and that they got 10% over asking. And he goes, oh. I go, let's pull one up in your area. Let's see all of these closed houses at $350 or less.
Yeah.
Oh, she priced it at $299. She priced it at $275. Look where they landed. 350, 325. You could do it the same in a luxury market. You could say they priced it for a while there in our luxury market here. All the agents were like wildly afraid of the recession, and they priced all luxury properties at $999,999. True story. So
that's funny.
$1 under $1 million, and I had one house I bid on. I said to the clients right when we were walking in, I go, listen to me. This is not $1 million house. This is a $1.25 million house. How do you know, Melina? Because I sold the neighbor. Yeah. I sold a house 3 houses down in this neighborhood. Did not even look like this. And I'm telling you, this is a 125 house. And they were like, no. I don't think we can offer that much. Oh my God, we want to offer 1225.
Isn't it amazing? I know. We're experiencing the exact same thing here. It's knowledge is powerful, right? And so taking our
data, Olivia.
Absolutely. You got to show the hardcore facts, right? And so what you're doing with buyers is phenomenal. I mean, that's what I would encourage so many agents to be doing right now as well, is always educating, right? Always staying ahead of the curve and making sure that when you have a buyer in front of you, you're educating on what is happening right now, not what was happening 6 months ago, because everything is changing so quickly, but what is happening right now, what's happening over the last 30, 60, 90 days. So I know that you're working, with buyers and sellers, which is so great. And I know where you are in New Jersey, but can you kind of tell us about your seasons? Because you're more of a seasonal real estate based realtor versus us. We do have our seasons, but you're much more seasonal. So who's your target audience? What are you, when you're looking at buyers, normally what's your heavy season and then your slow down season? And talk to us a little bit about kind of what you're seeing with investment properties, because I know that you do a lot of investment properties as well.
Yeah. So seasonality is really interesting. I would say the beginning of July is a typically very slow time, and the end of August.
Okay.
And the reason is people in the East Coast are enjoying their summer. We have 12 weeks of hot summer, maybe 10 if you really look at it. And those are the weeks that families go on. So our schools end mid to late June, and people look at houses probably up until school ends. And then that July 4th to July 15th week, it's dead.
Okay.
It ramps up for a few weeks, and then we die again right before school starts. And then typically October, November, really strong. December and January tend to be light. But I will say that last year I was in utter shock. How COVID erased seasonality. Mm-hmm. So we did not see a slow time until, believe it or not, spring was like really weirdly slow, March. And I think that had to do with a lot of what was happening in the world. Mm-hmm. And then we had 2 weeks of downtime in July, maybe a couple of weeks coming in August, but the rates just dropped maybe 2 weeks ago. So anyone with good credit who's a buyer came out of the woodwork. So my last 2 open houses, on my listings, I had 120 showings at one house in 3.5 days, basically, from Thursday evening to Sunday night. I didn't even show the house on Monday. We had 120 showings, and typically the statistic is every 12 showings yields 1 offer. Okay. We had, in that, we had exactly 10 offers.
Wow. It's amazing.
And then again, exactly. And again, in Piscataway, we did that was Middlesex County, much lower price point. This house went for in the mid-8s. In Middlesex County, I listed a house in an area that traditionally is very culturally strong in one certain culture. And so and there are not many houses that come up in that price point. And so it was like wild sauce that my sellers went bonkers. They were like, how long do we have to keep doing this? So again, we got them through Sunday. They made a decision Sunday and we were done. 7 offers on that house.
That's amazing.
So it's really seasonality with COVID has really shrunk, which I was, you wish you got some, but really there's not. There's holidays, there's the intense winter, and you get those few weeks of the summer when people are vacationing.
Okay.
There was another question you asked me. What did you ask me? Who is my target market?
Who's your target audience?
Who's my target audience? So, I'll tell you a funny story. Do you remember a time when you were dating and someone said to you, write down what it is you want out of your partner?
Oh, yes.
Out of your future husband. And you kind of, you did that in your mind and you were like, that's what I want. So I see the same in real estate. As a realtor, I think if you put out into the universe, I really want good people who have a thorough understanding of the market or are willing to be coached and are willing to read and understand the data with me. That is my target. People who want to be helped. I don't care about price point, really. I have sold all the way up to 5 million. I've sold commercial. I do rentals sometimes. I don't love them, but I do them because there are people in need, and I cannot ignore that feeling of wanting to help someone. And I do have quite a few investors, although this season in real estate is not ideal for those of us that are investing, because you really have to crunch those numbers.
Yeah.
And there has to be like a little bit of a buffer if the market dips a bit, that's a whole nother story. So my target market is good people who are looking to partner with an agent and create a strategy for either winning a house or selling a house. Period.
I love it. Let me guess. You have a vision board.
I don't, but you know what I have? I have this gigantic magnet on my fridge. I have one of those white fridges with the gold handles. And I have this big white magnet. And on that magnet, I have very few things. So one of them is how many listings I will get this year. Awesome. One of them is how many transactions I want. And then one of them is the vacations that we're going to take as a family. And then I set myself some reminders on prioritizing. The one thing, like any mom who may be listening, or even any of our clients who are listening and who are full-time fathers or moms or whomever, is in COVID, in that frenzy when there was no boundary between work life and personal life and school life and personal life, I really let go of prioritizing myself. And that was probably the biggest mistake I made. And I really leaned into that mistake for 2 years. And I'm now not stepping back from my business, but being very intentional on what I want my life to look like and who I want to do business with. Because my kids are getting older fast. My husband is going away for 3 years, and I don't want to keep missing life. Like we're never going to be 50, look back on life and say we're poor, because if you're working, you're not going to be poor. But I will look back and say, damn, I wish I was there, or good night time, or whatever. So that's really where I have to focus this year more on myself. So I hired a nutrition coach who is, trying to help me get my 50 pounds of hormonal weight off, and is always trying to keep me mindful. And I've been really considering other things to do to pull me back, because we're all type A's, we want to do what's best for other people. And then you find 10 o'clock, you've been on the phone for 4 hours. You don't know what the heck happened to your day.
Yeah.
So last night I actually my head on the pillow and I said, this phone is shutting off at 6:30, no matter what. I'm just turning it off.
Good for you. Good for you. And you've been in real estate since the kids were young. So,
yeah,
how did you juggle that? How did you juggle being a full-time realtor and moving across the country and starting a new business and everything that you were explaining earlier on, as well as enjoying the moments, making sure you were there to do drop-offs and pickups and at all of the kids' school functions? What's some good advice you would give somebody with young children starting out in this business?
I'll share what I did, and then we could talk about some strategies, because I do want people to be mindful. I had a father actually ask me this in the last class I taught at the brokerage last week. He says, Melina, do you find yourself balanced? And I was like, no, absolutely not. So here's what I did, and I will continue to lean into this. Remember, I said I joined a team. And I joined a team because there was already built-in systems that I did not have to start up. So you are a team, and you've got your transaction coordinators. So I needed to focus on my priority actions to get business. So I love cold calling. I love calling and touching base with all my open house clients. I put everything in an organized CRM, so I'm always trying to keep on top of my past, current, and future clientele. So that is 100% the system I leaned into. If you ask me to write a contract, God help you, because I really try to give all of that to the transaction coordinator. I haven't written a contract in 2 years. Sometimes I forget. I'm like, what goes there anymore? I just don't remember. I also love the team because theoretically, if you go on vacation, there is a team to support you when you're gone. But you have to be a person who's willing to let go.
Yeah.
And I was never that person. And I'm being forced into that. Again, God has a way of mysteriously pushing you where you don't want to go, but my husband's leaving, so I get no choice. I get no choice. I have to let go. I have to decide I'm not answering the phone at that time, and I may lose a few, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So my best advice is either join a strong team where you are loved, you are nourished, not fed leads. That is not the indicator of a good team. A good team teaches you how to fish so you can fish on your own.
Yep.
And you see the value in the support system that the team environment offers. If it's someone constant, go chase this buyer, go chase that, you've learned nothing. Yeah. So that's one thing. If you're not going to join a team, then make sure your brokerage has systems that you can plug into. For example, they have transaction coordinator companies that you can per file pay out to run your compliance and make sure you've got all of your I's dotted and your T's crossed and your contracts out. And when you are at church or when you are in temple or when you are at the soccer game, someone in the Philippines can write your contract for you. So you plug into a system like that and then educate yourself. And do not think it comes easily, because you're always selling yourself as a realtor, whether you're on the PTA or in church or a soccer mom or a dance mom or a cheer mom or a gymnastics mom or golfing or going to buy a car. You have 100 opportunities in one day to get new clients. Do it in a way where you are always getting clients so that it's a numbers game, right? So I need to touch 20 people a day to get one a week.
Yep.
So whatever those goals are, you just have to really lean into them. So those are the two systems I would follow.
It's great advice. And I am just listening to you and I'm like, man, we are all of us mompreneurs, I feel, are so connected
Talking
in
the
various
same
ways.
way.
We really are. I mean, it's so crazy. I've completely lost myself over the last few years of having two young children. I have two boys under the age of 4 right now. And I really constantly wonder how the heck I'm doing this life. It's really amazing, but it's also just so crazy working 7 days a week and having no time for myself, really. So congratulations for taking a step back and recognizing that about yourself, and really starting to recognize that, you know, your children are growing fast and your husband is leaving and you're needing to turn that phone off. And if you lose a few business calls, so be it, right? There's more on the other side. And everything you're manifesting about your business and who you want to work with. I'm a true believer in all of that as well. I started that years ago, and every January, my
Do you have a vision board?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What's on that vision board?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff on the vision board. You know, we have business goals that we put on the vision board, but also personal goals. And I put that vision board up on my closet door so I don't miss it. There's not a day that goes by. And sometimes I shy away from looking at it because I'm like, oh, it's August and I'm nowhere close to that number, but somehow I'm going to get to that number by December.
Will.
Yes, absolutely. When there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yes.
So that's awesome. Well, I love talking with you, Melina. There's so much more to even share, and I know you're just a depth of knowledge. And I cannot wait to be able to pass you more referrals as we move forward.
Ditto, Olivia.
More clients moving from California to Jersey. And, you know, I cannot wait to come and visit Jersey with my family one day and have lunch or dinner, whatever the heck you guys do on the Jersey Shore. I cannot wait to come visit and see what it's all about, because all we see on the California side is what they showcased on the show, The Jersey Shore, years ago, right? And I don't even watch TV, but I know that that's not really how the Jersey Shore is. So excited to continue.
We'd love to have you.
Oh, thank you. Well, excited to have you here today. Thank you for sharing your story. And we look forward to reconnecting very soon and hopefully, again, having a meal together on the Jersey Shore sometime soon.
That would be great. That would be awesome.
Oh, Melina, have a great rest of your week.
You too.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.